2, 1, action.
Hey guys, a few days ago, my friend and I were talking, and she had mentioned that she knows someone with an eating disorder but doesn't really know how to help. And I decided, why not making it into a video? So today I'm going to be sharing some tips and some things that my friends do that help me out, and some things to avoid when helping someone with an eating disorder. Tip number 1: try your best not to mention how much food they're eating. Whether it's a lot or it's a little, it could possibly make them relapse and make them think they think I'm eating too much, I gotta cut back, or I'm not eating enough. Maybe I should just eat more often or eat a little more, which could potentially upset their stomach and cause them to relapse. If you want to go out with some friends and your friend with the eating disorder wants to go, or you invite them and it's to go eat, and they decide they don't want to eat, don't pressure them or guilt them into eating. That leads into tip number 2. If they come to you to talk about their eating disorder problems, or just for someone to talk to, keep in mind that they aren't talking to you because they want you to be their therapist. They're talking to you because you're their friend and that's what they want you to be. They want someone that they can go to, that they're close to, that they can just vent out all their problems, and hopefully you guys can kind of reel them back in and make them feel more like your friend rather than someone with an eating disorder. If you're uncomfortable with talking about their eating disorder problems, then just say, hey, you're my friend and I care about you, but I'm not comfortable with talking about this. Have you ever thought about talking to a counselor or a therapist about your problems with eating disorders? Some of my friends aren't comfortable with talking about eating disorder stuff, and that's completely fine. It's not something that everyone's comfortable with, and as a person with an eating disorder, you should understand that maybe my friends don't want to talk about this, and there's a reason for that. That leads into tip number 3. Try to make sure that you aren't associating the eating disorder with your friend. Your friend who has the eating disorder is not defined by the eating disorder. My personality and my eating disorders are two completely different things, and whenever people start to treat me differently due to the eating disorders, that's when it can get a little weird, and I feel like they aren't really wanting to be my friend, when in reality they just don't know exactly how to handle the eating disorders yet. So my tip is, try to treat them as normal as possible. Just watch out for some things you might say or do around them. You can still act however you act with them, but when it comes to how much they eat, or how they look, or anything like that, try to avoid saying certain things around them. And that's what tip number 4 is. Tip number 4 is, try to avoid talking about weight, how they look, how you look. Overcomplimenting is a real thing, and if you hold someone to a higher standard every time you compliment them, it can start to make them think, oh, I'm getting a lot more compliments because of XYZ. One example of this is whenever I lost all the weight that I did, yeah, it was for me, but all the compliments I got made me feel like if I ever gained the weight back, it was going to be a lot different. And it kind of gets really nerve-wracking when you're getting all these compliments because you've lost so much weight and because you look a lot different than what you had. And that's where it kind of gets a little sticky. Yes, you can still compliment them. Yeah, you can still say they look great. You can still say that they look super pretty or they look gorgeous. Whatever you want to say, you can still do all those things. Just try not to over-compliment, and try not to give a lot of compliments on their weight. I'm not saying that you can't compliment them about losing weight, but if you want to say something like, man, you look really good, or you look great, something like that, just so you're not focusing specifically on the weight. Because if you do say, man, you look like you've lost a lot of weight, in their head they could be like, I can keep losing weight to get more of these compliments. That leads into tip number 5. Tip number 5 is, if you catch them looking in the mirror or looking in a store window a lot, try and pull them away from it. That way they don't get in their head about how they look. Whenever I do this, and we're walking past the store and I look in the window. I start readjusting my clothes. I start thinking, oh my god, I really look like this. And if I pass a mirror, I'll always glance at it, possibly stop in it, look at how I look, like focus on minor things that may or may not be there. And it can really damage your self-confidence. So if you catch them doing this, what my friends do is they'll jokingly say like, hey, quit checking yourself out, let's go. Or like just make something like kind of make it a joke. That way they don't feel like they're being lectured. So just say like, hey, you look hot, let's go. And that's all I have for the tips. Obviously there's way more, but these are some that I think are super important. And I just wanted to share it to possibly help people who don't really know exactly how to help their friend with eating disorders. So yeah, that's all I have for today. Filming outside has been an absolute train wreck. As I was filming one, my phone fell. As I was filming one, all of the cicadas around me decided they wanted to sing as high as they could. Planes were flying, cars were driving, my dogs started barking, the neighbor's dog started barking. It was a train wreck, so I'm very glad that I filmed this outside, but at the same time, I'm very upset that I decided I wanted to. But other than that, that's all I have for today. I'll see y'all later. Bye, guys. Jax is dead behind me while I'm filming. So that's fun.